Hey guys, welcome back. Today we will be learning about functions. We will learn how to declare and call a function, what are different parameters and arguments to that function, what it literally means, what are the different ways in which you can work on functions in JavaScript, and finally we will solve some of the questions related to them to solid our understanding. And at the last we will end the session with a conclusion. But if you haven't watched my previous video on variables, I highly recommend you go and watch it because that will be a prerequisite for this video. And to help you further, make sure that you subscribe to this channel because I will be releasing more and more programming tutorials on this series. Let's now get going. So guys, let's start by understanding what functions really are. Think of it like a washing machine. You have some dirty clothes, you put it in the machine and you get some clean clothes. It doesn't matter how these clothes are getting cleaned and you don't want to understand the back-end architecture of washing machine. So in similar fashion, functions are just reusable pieces of code that you can utilize once you have defined it. So having known what functions really are, let's look at how functions are implemented in JavaScript. So we are back in our Alchemy University website, and here you can see that this is how we can declare a function. We have a function keyword, then the function name, these small brackets are there, then you have this return and then for. So what this return does is return some value as an output, as we have seen in our washing machine case analogy. Now if we break down this function thing in different parts, it looks something like, first we declare a function, and the function declaration is very simple, just like we have seen, but you can also have input to the functions. These are called parameters. Now it may have return statement or it may not have return statement depending upon your use case. Now once you define the function, you need to call that function. Oftentimes when you call a function, you need to pass the specific input values. So what those values are called? These values are called arguments. So this is a very crucial difference between arguments and parameters. Arguments are just input when we call the functions, while parameters are just when we define the function. So that's a very key or subtle difference that people tend to miss. So I thought that it will be interesting if I explain it to you. Now once you get an output, these return input can't directly be seen. So what you can do is you can get the return value and pass it to the variable here. This is how we define a function. Now let's look at the task that is given here. Our task is to return a string from getMessage. So we will create our own function. So function, this is our keyword. Now we have to use the specific function name as they ask. Then we will return our output like hello, and then we will run it. Note that I am using Alchemy, but you can use VS Code. I have shown you how to do that in previous tutorial. Go and watch that. Link is at the top. So we have seen what are functions. Now let's move to what are operators. So the second thing that we need to understand while knowing the functions is operators. Now this is very important part, guys, because operators are very similar to functions, but they are syntactically different. That means that the way how functions are defined or values are returned, that is not done by operators. They are just bunch of symbols that you can use in order to do certain tasks. For example, when you use the statement let a is equal to 5, then you are assigning the value of 5 in variable a. It is done using the equal to symbol, and in JavaScript or any programming language, equal to symbol is mainly referred to as assignment operator. So this is how the operator works. Let's now look at some of the most common operators in JavaScript. So we are back in our editor, and the first thing that we are going to see is called add function. But let me be specific here, guys, that here we are not just using the operators, we are also using the functions. That's how you will see it in real life programming case scenarios. Here we have to write a function which adds 2 to any input that we give. So we will do it using plus operator. The plus operator is referred to as an addition operator. The operator takes two numbers, adds them together. For instance, 3 plus 1 would evaluate to 4. So this is how you define it. Here we write function, and then we have to use the specific name, add to, and then we will take the input like input, and then we will return input plus 2. And then we will run our test cases and it says test is passed. Now let's move to the second operator. So here is our goal: multiply two numbers. Take two input in our product function and multiply them together using this star operator. This star operator is called multiply operator or product operator in JavaScript. We will solve this question. We will write a function, then we will say product a comma b turn a into, and if I run the test case, you will see that we have this multiple of two numbers and test is passed. Now let's move to our next operator. This operator is called division operator. And let's see what it does. So division operator simply takes two numbers and divide and return the integer part of it. Here we have to complete the average function. What we will be doing here is we have to find the average of four numerical values a, b, c, d. So here we have name our function average. So here we will pass a, b, c and d, and now we will put return a plus b plus c plus d slash 4. Now you may feel like this is an error. What is happening here is it is taking d divided by 4 first and then it is taking a plus b plus c plus. And why it is? We were not passing the bracket and that's why the error was there. Now you can see that we have passed our test case. So having known how different operators and functions work together, let's now look at how to use others person code in our code base to make our life easier using something called importing functions. For the last part, we are going to understand what are imports. Think of import like fueling your car. When you fuel your car, you don't need to make the petrol. You just need to fuel in your car using the petrol, and the functionality of that petrol gets added to your car, which helps you to run your car. So think of it like you have certain work, someone else has done that heavy lifting for you, and you can use just a simple function. This is called interoperability in programming, and that is a very important factor that you need to understand while using some functions. So let's now look at how to import things in functions. Now a small caveat here: sometimes in JavaScript functions are just objects, so they are embedded inside the JavaScript itself in the later ES6 version, so you may or may not be able to use functions. So we are back in our code editor and let's now see how we can import functions. So here it says random. Okay. Now it says let's get random, and our task is to complete the get random function. Here inside get random, get a random number from math.random function. But why math.random? So if you see random, if I say, it will throw a error. Random is not defined. Okay. So random is not a function native to JavaScript, but there is something called math module where you can use this function. So what you can do is you can write math.random and this will return a random number between 0 to 1. So this is how you create random number. And by the way, if you are thinking about double slash, it's called single line comment. If you want to work on multiple line comments, then it's forward slash asterisk and then asterisk and forward slash, anything in between will be a comment and ignored by the compiler. These are great for writing small pieces of instructions to fellow coders. Now let's complete our random function. What we are going to do is we are going to write a function get random, and here we will type return math.random. Now if you want to see how we will get the output, just run the test cases and you will see it's passed. But let's look at the internal details of this. Okay, so here it says module.exports is equal to get random. So what it is doing is it is taking the get random output and passing it to the module.exports, and this module.exports is responsible for running our code in code.js. If you see here, it says const get random and require is equal to / get random, and get random is, if you remember, this is our function script or module. So it is taking this module and calling this get random module inside the get random variable, and then we are using this get random as a function to call it. So this is how you do the random function. Now let's move to the another function that is called the floor function, and it's again from the math module itself. And a small update here is that inside the JavaScript, you don't need to import the math module. Here you can see, right? Here no math module is imported because here the math is just an object. It is now embedded in the JavaScript itself. So even if you don't import, it will work fine. Now let's move to the floor function, which is another function from the math module or library. And here we have to get the floor value of any argument x. In simple terms, floor function returns only the integer part of the function. So let's see how it works. We will write function get floor x and then return math dot floor, and then we need to pass the x in. Now if we run the test case, let's see if we get yes, we returned an output. So guys, we have come a long way and now you are armed to implement functions in JavaScript with whatever knowledge you have. Hope that you had a fine learning here. See you in the next video. Bye bye.